Now, this is the Oz report for January 19th, 2025, the first one in the new year and the first one from Australia. For those of you that don't know, I moved over here, and so that is why I haven't streamed in about 2 or 3 weeks. Now we're back, and now we're going to do the Oz report weekly as usual again. Now, let's start with Plex and Plex adjacent items as usual, and for that, let's move over to the game client. So Plex is taking a little bit of a breather, okay? You can see that we had the last big spike around Christmas. That was various sales going on, and now it has settled in at a very high 6 million. So we started the year around 5 million. We're now at 6 million. So clearly, 20% increase. It's massive, and um, one big reason for that is a lot fewer people now spending real money to buy Plex, and when they are buying Plex with real money, they're spending in the New Eden store for sales. They're not selling it on the market, and so this Plex is never actually hitting the market, and therefore um, there's less Plex available, about 0.1 trade days, or right now 0.4 trade days available on the market, meaning that it's more difficult to just buy large amounts of Plex to subscribe game time. And Omega time is famously expensive now in real world cash because CCP increased the subscription price a year and a half ago, and so all of that culminates into a very, very high Plex price that is not great. You know. Having said that, let's look at large scale injectors, and yes, this is how long it takes in Australia for market graphs to come up. Large scale injectors are increasing again, which is quite good. I said in my last Oz reports, I always said skill injectors were a good investment right now because they were cheap, and they are a little bit too cheap. To be honest, skill farming has been negative return now for months and months on end. Right now, it's about a negative billion if you're doing skill farming just on the normal Plex subscription price. Even if you're taking advantage of some sales, skill farming is not profitable right now, and that means that your large skill injector supply is not going to be vastly increasing in the future, and now you're going to see an increased LSI price. That's just logical. If you're looking at skill extractors, they they are still cheap. They're not recovering as quickly as they were, again, because the skill farming demand on skill extractors isn't all that high, except for those that are already running the skill farms that are keeping them running to sell LSI at strategically high prices in between. And so here, skill extractors, still, I feel like you could still invest in them. They're still kind of cheap. I'm holding a lot of them. I think they are likely to rise in price. They're more likely to rise in price in the future than drop, because we're still on sale prices. It's still people holding on to stockpiles and not selling because the price hasn't risen a lot. Let's go back to the dashboard real quick. Or actually, let's quickly talk about hypercores just because they round out nicely. So hypercores, just flat, right? Hypercores, we had that big sale, the 2-for-1 sale. And since then, they've risen a little bit, but they haven't really come back. Big combination of people not using the hypernet as much anymore because they can't spam, possibly. And there's just so many of them out there that it's going to take a while. Still, I'm long hypercores. I'm sitting on a whole lot of them, and I'm fine to wait. I think they will pay off in the long run to all those poor people with gambling addictions. All right. Let's see. Let's go over to the dashboard. Over here at first. So a few big stories here. So R4 Moon materials, they're metanoxed hard, but they're not metanoxed as hard as R8 and R16 Moon materials, and you can see that here. You can see R8 and R16 moon materials, the higher value ones or the mid value ones, dropping in price 5% and 10% this week. R4 in turn rising 10%, and we're still trying to find that equilibrium of moon material pricing in a Metanox world. But it's clearly, if you look at this, that R4 moon materials are trading about 30% below what they were a year ago. R8 moon materials are trading 40% below, so that's just very, very cheap in comparison. R16's trading a little bit lower, but haven't really changed all that much. And R32 and R64 moons are just more expensive now because they are more manually mined, especially the R64 ones, and they're now trading at a premium. But overall, moon material prices are probably on average below what they were a year ago. Totally different picture with basic minerals. Basic minerals overall, 40% over over yearly average. And if you break that down by mineral type, you can see that here. Tritanium and isogen are the only two that are really trading below. Isogen because they were targeted to be lower priced. I mean, CCP has been actively introducing measures to bring the isogen price down, like removing it from certain blueprints, etc. Tritanium not impacted, mostly high sec mining. But if you're looking at pyrite, 90% over 52-week average. Maxilon, 140% over yearly average. Noxium, 30%. Zydrine, 60%. Morphite now 80% over, right? Mineral prices are very, 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 very high. And that's, if you want the detailed discussion on minerals, go watch the monthly economic report video that we just recorded. There we go into more detail. Other than that, ancient salvage up 12%. That is for tier 3 production, right? Strategic cruisers like the Tengu, the Loki, the Legion, the Proteus, the fourth. So those are in very high demand. There's not enough left in the market. People have been buying out ancient salvage materials this week, and so be ready for strategic cruiser prices to be increasing. Possibly Doctrine fits, but certainly a spike in ancient salvage material demand this week, and therefore also a price increase of 12%. Everything else, I think, is nothing to write home about. We're looking at tier 2 modules up 4%. Honestly, that's a mixture of morphite prices rising, but also there was quite a significant dread battles and dread kill mails over the last week, if you look at Zkill. And so I think we will see that in the dashboard here. Let's look at the Oz report dashboard. You can see some of these tier 2 modules that are on the trending upside right here. 25,000 millimeter steel plates and Hexa 2,500 millimeter repeating cannons. Those are dread modules as far as I can see. They are spiking as well. So this is not just morphite prices. This is very specifically people replacing or building dread fits. Overall, oh yeah, one thing I wanted to mention on the dashboard still is up here, there, planetary commodities, right? So planetary commodities has been impacted by the introduction of templates. Okay, this does have a long-term impact, but if you look at Adam for Eve, let's actually here. I don't do this enough on the Oz report, but we'll do this today. Go to market trends and planetary interaction. if you look at the pricing of P3 and P4 planetary goods, that is here compared to 1 year ago. That's this right here, okay? This column right here and this column right here. You can see that P4 versus a year ago is down about 5 to 20%. Okay, so that is quite significant. And if you look at P3, it's down. You know, some of them are up, some of them are down, but mostly down. And yes, so the impact of templates has impacted planetary commodities overall, but not nearly to an extent where you would say the market is crashing, right? I would say it's slightly down, but a lot of that is also market speculation. I don't expect this to bring down prices in the range of, 20, 30%. The margins are still going to be there. It's still tedious to do. It's still tedious to set up. So until we get like a, refresh all extractor button, I don't think planetary commodities are going to be crashing. I think there's a little bit of a price correction, but overall, that's just, not a huge market movement. All right, let's quickly to wrap up the Oz report. Let's quickly look at what's going on individual items. So as I said, there's a few tier 2 module, like the ones I mentioned earlier, the siege modules that are spiking 20% or more. Heavy entropic disintegrator, precursor weapons. People flying lots of Vedmax apparently. Those are spiking. But all of this is people replacing fits or fitting large amounts of ships. It seems, because this is not raw material based price increases. Trending down. Honestly, so chromium is probably the biggest one. Chromium is an R16 moon material, down 18%. That is quite significant. Cesium as an R32 material, down 11%. That is quite significant. That is people taking their mining proceeds to the forge to sell. And fullerite C84 wormhole gas, down 15%, also quite significant. If we're looking at the insured supply, so what's in the danger of running out of supply in the forge, we have, interestingly, the coveter. So the coveter is both in the largest supply drops and right here with the 60% supply drops, and in low supply with 0.3 trade days left. So the coveter mining barge is at the danger of running out of supply. Ukomi superconductors, people buying them probably to create implants, right? That's a big one. Synthetic synapse is the same, so people just producing implants, it seems. And then people buying gel magic biopaste, synthetic synapses, so people just buying out a lot of planetary materials, it seems. If we're looking at the most underpriced category down here on the bottom right, it's dominated by moon materials. So those aren't underpriced per se. They have dropped in price because of Metanox moon mining. You can see here quite significant, especially R4 moon materials are trading, of course, way below 52-week average. They are on the way back up though, because of the nerfs that CCP has introduced to Metanox moon mining a few months ago, and so surely they are underpriced. Stormbringers, interestingly, also still underpriced, but some of that is also still has to do with faction ships overall coming down in prices because of the blueprint changes. So and hypercores we already talked about. So Nurgles are underpriced because of the 0-point field manipulator over here. They're also underpriced. So I wouldn't say there's anything there where I would clearly say you jump on it. Evaporate deposits and hydrocarbons, probably the safest bet in terms of overall investment opportunities. And just as a reminder, this only covers items that are trading at 5 billion ISK or more in terms of market trade per day. All right, let's wrap up the first stream from Australia. I'll see you guys on the Oz report next week. Remember, you can use the code Oz in the EVE Online store and on Marquee Dragon if you want to support the content. And you can also, very importantly, go to theoz.space if you want to look at the Oz Report dashboard throughout the week. I update it pretty much every day, and now I'm going to start also putting all of the new market developments into blog posts again on that. Okay. All right. See you guys next week, and we're going to return to the regular stream. Bye bye.